Hello, everyone. I'm Keith Armour. I'm the Education Homework Support Manager down here at the main library and the Adult Learning Center. Today, we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, beer. And I know what you're thinking is, what in the world does the library have anything to do with beer? Well, we've got a lot of resources. But the reason why I'm talking about this topic today is because Bachfest starts tomorrow. And I've been at the library for over 12 years. And one of my favorite things to do when I first came here was work on Fridays. And then at the end of the day, on that Bockfest parade day, on that Friday, there'd be a great parade. We'd all leave the main library, go down to Main Street and watch the Bach parade and enjoy the festivities. Well, it's not going to be the same this year simply because it's all virtual. And I'm going to show you their website. They've got a great website, some ways that you can enjoy Bockfest. But then I'm also going to show you a couple of things that we have on the library's website, the collection that we have, that celebrates Cincinnati's great beer history and also some other resources that we have. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at Bockfest 2021. All right, this is a little different. I usually start us all out at cincinnatilibrary.org. I bookmarked a lot, but I do want to point out this is a great website to tell you a little bit more about Bockfest. It's the official Bockfest website. It's bockfest.com. But what I want to point out here is they have this great information over here about, and I'm going to go to history. And here's a picture of the very first Bockfest, happened 28 years ago. And here's the poster for Bockfest. And I'm just going to read the first two paragraphs real quickly to give you an understanding of the history of Bockfest. In the 1800s, Cincinnati was one of America's most prolific brewing cities. Cincinnatians drank more beer per capita than any city in the country, 2.5 times the national average. And over the Rhine was the epicenter of beer production and consumption. By 1890, the neighborhood was home to roughly 300 saloons and had over 12.5 breweries within or adjacent to its boundaries. Now, Bock beer is traditionally brewed for special occasions. It is complex, hearty, traditionally has a higher nutritional content than most beers, and typically has a higher alcohol content. It has a particular link to spring because German monks drank it as a substitute for food during Lenten fasts. The style was popular in pre-Prohibition Cincinnati, and numerous breweries all made a special version around Lent. And they still do that too, so you can get a lot of variety and support local business by buying some Bock beer. But they go on here to tell you more about the history of Bockfest and even a great remembering the very first Bockfest. And a lot of fun. And you know, here's the very first parade, pictures from the very first parade, an unorganized affair at the time. They of course have packages and merchandise and stuff that you can check out. And there's experiences as well. There's the official venues with, of course, people that are socially distancing and making everything safe. There's also historic tours. Now, my buddy Brian, who also works in the library, he and I have gone on every brewing tour, and it's really a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to learn the history of our brewing heritage. And what's even cooler is they'll take you to some of the tunnels that were created to keep beer cold, because before refrigeration, they had to try to figure out how to keep beer cold so it doesn't spoil. Even though we were drinking a lot of it in Cincinnati. Well, these beer tours and Bockfest beer tours right here, they're actually conducting tours and you can do that. But it's really a lot of fun. If you don't feel comfortable doing it now, that's fine. Do it in the future because you'll be amazed at how how huge these logger tunnels are. And it's just a lot of fun. You have to be pretty spry in some areas. And it's just really a cool experience. So I highly recommend that you check that out. And then I want to show you the homepage here because, of course, you have some people dressed up as monks. And you have the official mascot, of course, is the goat. And here's a neighbor of mine, Kevin, who is also the owner of Milton's bar. And I'm going to just show you a real quick little recap of 2019. The very first parade was very haphazard. The parade has grown. It's still rather organic. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of organization to it, but then there's also people that are just getting in the parade to have fun. Lots of music. Something that I would really love doing is getting off work and going right there on Main Street involved and see the parade. It's a lot of fun. And then it leads you to the Bach festivities, and the festivities have grown, so it's a whole weekend. Of course, that's not going to happen this year. There's not going to be all of these festivities, but definitely check it out next year. There's a lot of food, a lot of music, a lot of fun. Something I'm truly missing this year because of the pandemic. But we can learn a lot more about our brewing history and have a Bockfest at home experience. I am also going to show you the Brewing Heritage Trail. This is a great website, and I'll provide the link for that as well for you. And it's a group of people that put this trail together, and it has special kiosks that have information. You have special medallions that will tell you what brewery was right there. They do conduct tours. Right now they're not doing that, but they have put together these 3 videos that are really kind of fun. This is Cliffside Brewery. Episode 2 is about the Crown Brewery, and episode 3 is about the Jackson Brewery. And this is the one that has the huge, massive logger tunnel that he'll show you here on that. If you're interested in the trail, you can click right here on the trail. And, all of these tours point things out that are right there that have always been there since you've been in the city, and yet you didn't look up and see it. And here's one of them, this wonderful archway of a doorway that's down in Over the Rhine, the beer district. And then here is some examples of the medallions that show you part of the trail. And here's some kiosks and the timeline and some great pictures that go along the way. There's Crown Brewing Company information. There's the wonderful artwork that's along the way as well. And then here's the route. One thing that we've learned during this pandemic time is when it's a nice day out, take your friends out, enjoy your friends, and take them on a walk. And this is one of the walks that you could take friends and have a nice conversation as long as you're socially distanced, and learn a little bit about our brewing history. Might not want to do it this weekend, but you can definitely check it out in the future. So I will provide a link for the brewingheritagetrail.com. Definitely check that out. So we have arrived now at our website, and what we did was we put together a collection, a small collection, just 14 items about beer. And we have a lot more in our collection, but we just selected these just to get you going. So you've got Cincinnati beer, and that's from Michael Morgan. He wrote this book way back 10 years ago, Over the Rhine When Beer Was King. Great book. I really enjoyed it. And he followed it up about 10 years later with Cincinnati beer, where he really goes way far back in time, back in the very early parts of the development of Cincinnati. And he kind of estimates that the first brewery in Cincinnati was between 1803 and 1805. And the very first in the region was actually over in Newport. James Smith put that together in 1798. So we have a rich history in the region as well. And then you've got brewing beer in Cincinnati, a pictorial history here. You've got what to drink next. You've got beer, tap into the art and the science of brewing. You've got 50 ways to sip and savor. A to Z beer, making beer at home for total beginners. And then this great book by Sarah Stevens, and that's Cincinnati Brewing History. And I always like these history books because they not only give you great pictures, but they also really explain things about the brewing history as well. So definitely check that out. I will put that in the link so you can have that for you. Now, we're going to now go over here and we're going to go to this right here is our digital library. Our digital library is a collection of material, and we are adding to this collection all of the time. We have dedicated librarians that are part of the digital library, and we've been around since 1853. So we get a lot of stuff. We get a lot of stuff that's donated. We purchase stuff, and we want the collection to be very accessible to everyone. And here it is, Cincinnati's brewing history. And we put this together because of that brewing heritage trail. And there is actually over 450 items in this collection. And you can look at all of the different areas over here, but I'm just going to highlight a few. Here are some small lithographs, and you can of course make them bigger by clicking here, and you can see all of the production of beer there. And that was way back. I don't know if that has a date. I don't think that has a date on it. So we're going to click back. Then another thing we have is, speaking of Newport, 325,000 bottles daily. There's the bottling plant over at Wiedemann's over in Newport. And we go back, there's some beer bottles. We've got some advertisements. Here's for Park Brewery. And look how big it was. It was on the corner of Race and 13th Street. Here's another brewery, and look at all the addresses for this one on Freeman Avenue. You can click back, and you've got pictures of some bars. Here's an evening scene at Mount Adams. And of course, the waiter is delivering some beer, keeping up our per capita, I would assume. The date over here is August of 1880. So this is at the top of Mount Adams. Then you scroll down a little bit more, some advertising. Here is a bar at Spring Grove and Queen City Avenues, and it's dated 1914. So you can make that bigger and check that out. And then if you keep going down, we've got a Barbarossa beer comb. If you're not familiar with a beer comb, the barmaid would go up, fill up get you a draft beer, and then the foam would come up, and they would take that beer comb and they would scrape off the foam, and then they'd put it into water, and then you would have your beer without all that foam. Okay, so we've got that part of our collection. And then of course we have beer tokens, part of our collection, so you can look at that, a bottle opener in our collection, a lot of coasters from a local brewery. You know, here's a Bavarian Brewing Company delivery truck picture, bottle caps, more and more pictures, 450 items that you can look at in the leisure of your own home. And you can have a beer while you're doing it, because you cannot have a beer in the library, but you can do it at home by looking at our digital collection. So definitely check that out. Now we're going to go to stream and download. And remember, how I get there is I go over here to books and media on our homepage and go to stream and download. And then of course we get to this page. I'm going to go to Libby, and Libby and Overdrive are the same thing, but I'm going to go use browser. Now I'm going to type up here in the search, I'm going to type in just beer. And you'll notice at first there's a whole bunch of things. Here's Lonely Planet's A to Z of wildlife. Not sure if that has to do with beer, but if you go over here under subject on the left-hand side and go to cooking and food, click right here. And there you have the collection, 77 items with the title beer. You've got Beer Lovers Chicago, Beer Tasting Guide, Home Brewing. There's the Cincinnati Beer Book. Here's the Dayton Beer Book, Columbus Beer Book, My Beer Year, Beer for All Seasons. You can get the kids involved by making homemade root beer, soda, and pop. Here's making your own craft beer again. There's that Over the Rhine When Beer Was King book. Brew Your Business. Seems like every day, more and more breweries are opening up. Maybe this guy needs a beer comb to get that foam off there. But definitely check out that collection, and the best way to do it is hit search, type in beer, and then scroll over here on the left-hand side and click on food, cooking and food, and you'll get that selection of beer items. Now, the other thing I'm going to go to under stream and streaming and downloadable is downloadable music, because you have to have some downloadable music. And this is Freegal, and you of course can download and keep some music, but you can stream music from here as well. So if I type up here in the search and say beer songs and hit search, I have some wonderful German beer garden songs, beer run drinking songs, beer drinking songs. So if I go to German beer garden songs, here I have the stream that's already clicked, and I can just click on one of them. Let's click on the first one and let's take a listen. So there you go. You can drive your spouse or your roommate crazy by listening to the song, or you can just put your headphones in and enjoy those as well. But that's totally free as well. One thing also I want to point out under streaming is you go down here to one of my favorites is Canopy. Go here, view in the browser. And remember, each month you have a total of 20 credits. I'm just going to type in beer up here, and I'm just going to click on the very pairing with food. Let's click on that one. And here is an everyday guide to beer. If I click on that, here's 12 episodes, and they're going to take you to 8,000 years of beer. They're going to talk about hops and malt and grand tour of beer styles, and enjoying the perfect pour, enjoying beer buying and storing, and just all sorts of different information here. And you can play the episodes and find out a lot. There's 12 episodes there. If I just type in beer up here and just let it go, here's the story of German beer. Here's that great course. And remember, if it's a great course, you're not going to go against your credit of 20. Here is another one, Beers of Joy. You've got Oh, there's the pairing beer with food. Here's Crafting Nation, American Craft Beer Industry. The science, that's still part of that one course. But just a great thing to look at the different episodes that we have about beer, and that's totally free using your library card for Canopy. Now, I'm going to go over here because we're running out of time, and I want to click on, which one am I going to click on? No, not that one. Not that one. I did that one already. Uh, don't forget about several different things that are going on at the library. We still have, I'm going to switch gears here, and I want you to really celebrate our great beer heritage, but I, of course, and the library, of course, wants you to do it safely. There is still need in the community, and this is, we are doing frozen meals for all ages, and that's Mondays from 3 to 6 at these locations. And then, of course, our box meals for youth at these locations Mondays from 3 to 5. So check that out. I'm also going to go up here to events. And a lot of times I just look at the weekend. I'm going to look at today's, take that back. I'm going to look at today's date and go here, and there's all sorts of things that are going on. But tonight there is a teen game night, and they're going to use the Jackbox suites of games, and it's going to go from 7 until 9. And you can definitely sign up for that and register here. It's a lot of fun, and we want to keep our teens and everyone safe. No adult beverages for them, but definitely check that out. Another program I want to point out is this one right here, and it is a virtual event. Again, it's my favorite album is Terrible. This is the second episode, and our wonderful librarian Kent is hosting it, and he's hosting a member of a Van Halen tribute band, and they're actually going to be listening to some other songs, some other albums, and discussing it. It's a lot of fun. Check that out. That's from 8 until 9 at night. So definitely check that out. Now, don't forget, we've got all sorts of other things going on. Our Take It and Make It. We're doing a drop-in club, which is grown folks crafting over at West Inn on Sunday. And then we've got Take and Make hot cocoa bombs. We've got Take and Make pots o' luck. And that's, I guess, getting ready for St. Patrick's Day. And that's happening, of course, at Green Township. I think that's just perfect for them. And of course, all of our virtual programming as well. But I just want to wish everyone a happy Bockfest. I'm going to tell you a little bit more, and especially tell you some more information. Let me go ahead and click out right now. All right, I bet you were surprised that we had that many things related to beer at the library. Of course, I cannot have a wonderful beverage with you right at this moment. However, definitely check out Bockfest.com. That is their website. You can read a lot more about their history. And of course, hopefully next year, I'll see you at the parade. However, take advantage right now of all of the resources that the library has for you. You can download or stream those wonderful Oom-Pa-Pa songs for your own personal beer garden. There is a lot of different places around the area that you can pick up Bach beer. It is a limited selection, so make sure you check that out. And of course, don't forget about those Canopy courses about how to pair things with beer and how beer is made, and just all sorts of different wonderful things. And of course, the book list that we put together will have some of the wonderful things that are in there as well about beer. So check that out. Another thing you need to check out, I mentioned it right there towards the end online, that virtual event done with our wonderful librarian Kent, who does my favorite album is Terrible, and that is tonight from 8 until 9. It's really fun. He talks to local musicians, and they talk about different albums as well. So check that out. It's pretty fun. And of course, virtual teen event tonight from 7 until 9. No adult beverages for the teens. However, it's a great trivia night. Also, don't forget about our take and makes. Uh, the library's still open. And of course, we have curbside as well. Next week, we're going to talk about Women's History Month, because that's what March is. It's Women's History Month, and the library has a whole bunch of ways that you can learn about some very, very famous women all across our nation, and how they contributed and how they continue to contribute to our wonderful society and community. All right, I will see you next week for Lunch and Learn. Thanks.